This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay, guys, we'll get going. All right, I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Southampton Select Board for November 10th at 6 p.m. If we could all stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So we will have our public hearing with Eversource at 6:05. So let us start. We'll take a few minutes. I think we can if there's anybody here for citizen speak before that. We'll try to fit in those that have something to say, and then we'll start the hearing as is stated in the agenda. Robert, yes.
Hi, good evening. Robert Floyd, College Highway. I'd like to bring some awareness to an event that's coming up in November. The theme is Art for Food. It's going to be a silent auction. It's going to be at First Congregational Church of Southampton, Saturday, November 22nd, 1 to 4. I'm co-hosting with the church. There's over 15 photographers, over 42 fine artwork, and approximately so far over $12,000 value of artwork. All the proceeds will go to the Southampton Community Cupboard. And the opening bids are really low, $25, $50, something for everyone, so I hope everyone can come.
And what day is it again?
22nd November.
And time?
1 to 4.
1 to 4. Okay, good. Thank you.
And I understand wine will be served.
Oh, there you go. It's at the Congregational Church?
Yeah, sure.
Right, okay, very good. All right. All right. Anyone else? Citizen speak? Anyone? Okay. Now's the time. All right. I just have one or two items, just following up on Robert. You've all seen, I'm sure, on the various news accounts and social media and whatever, our community cupboard is doing a fantastic job, getting donations in, and thanks to everybody around the community. I know we have tomorrow the Lions Club food drive, so if you haven't already done your donations for the community cupboard, or if you want to donate again, by all means, out here in the parking lot, I believe, and the Lions Club is shepherding that. I know the SYAA, and there's been various other things, I believe, at Norris. We've had boxes here at Town Hall. So there's lots of different groups around town that are trying to do their best to collect donations for the community cupboard. And I heard yesterday, I believe, that just on Saturday when they were open, there were 30 families that came and they gave away 1,000 pounds of food. So everybody, you're making a difference, and thank you. And unfortunately, we don't know what the future is going to hold in terms of SNAP benefits and all of those other things that are still in limbo. So please do what you can to help out. But thanks to the community cupboard for even existing here in town to make that a little bit easier for a few people. Secondly, just another thing that happened on Thursday, I think it was Thursday. There was a Veterans Day brunch organized by the Veterans Service Officer, Michelle Murdoch, that was well attended by some of the veterans and their families. And just to shout out a big shout of appreciation to Michelle for organizing that. She put together a great slideshow of some of the veterans in town, and that will get up on our website soon if it isn't already up there. So I would just encourage people to look at that. She did a great job, and these will be, many of the veterans in town and their families have signed on for this notion. I think you've seen them in Easthampton, these remembering our hometown heroes and our banners that exist in Easthampton. Southampton is doing that too. They didn't arrive in time for Veterans Day, but they will be here for and up on the polls before Memorial Day. So we'll have to wait until the spring, unfortunately, but there's a number. I think last I knew there was some 30 veterans that had wanted to participate in that. So we're really thankful for the work that Michelle has put together on just supporting the veterans here in town. It's a big difference since she's been here to do that, and The brunch was well attended, and of course, tomorrow's Veterans Day, so do what you do to honor a veteran tomorrow. Okay, with that, I think we need to open up. I would like to take a motion to open the public hearing.
Move to open a public hearing for the N-Star Electric Company pole installation. Is that enough?
Yeah, okay, we'll open the hearing, yeah. Ellen?
Second that?
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. So let me just read this. So this is a petition for a joint or identical pole location. This is coming to us from N-Star Electric Company, doing business as Eversource Energy and Verizon New England. They request permission to install a line of poles, wires, cables, and fixtures, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures to be owned and used in common along and across the following public way. Location to install one jointly owned mid-span pole on East Street, approximately 50 feet westerly of existing Eversource pole number 14/50. And the reason is to provide electric service to a new customer at 116 East Street and future service to a house at 118 East Street. And so they are asking that after due notice and hearing, as provided by law, they be granted joint or identical locations for and permission to construct and maintain a line of poles, wires, cables, together with such fixtures as they may find necessary, said poles to be erected substantially in accordance with the field plan that they will show us tonight, and marked as number 213-59520-803-82566. And they're also asking permission to lay and maintain underground laterals, cables, and wires in the above or intersecting public ways for the purpose of making connections with such poles and buildings as each of the petitioners may desire for their distribution purposes. Quite a bit of mouthful there, so I think I've said enough. All right, let us have the, yes, sir.
Does this cover every single pole relocation?
I think
in
we'll
town?
find-
Or is this pursuant to
This
our
is
scenic
East Street. This is just,
roads bylaw?
this one is not, I believe this is beyond where the scenic roads bylaw is. It's not the full amount of East Street.
The question, because I was unclear, why does it come to a public hearing?
Eversource always has to come to public hearing.
Every
of course,
single pole.
For any kind of moving poles or adding new poles for new service, as far as I know, yeah.
One
So
understanding authority.
our Eversource representative, come on up, introduce yourself, and I've kind of read the whole letter that you all sent us, but,
Brandon, I'm here on
Yeah.
behalf of Eversource.
Okay.
Representing a new pole location for the customers here on East Street. So pretty much in between that car and the mailbox is where we're proposing a new pole to come in on town taking, and then it would proceed back to the two lots on East Street to provide them with electric service in the future.
now, is the one on the left has already got service, yes? That one and the gray one?
Yes,
So what number is that?
118.
yeah.
That's 118.
Or that's 120. That's 120. 116 is going to be in there.
Okay.
And 118 is up that.
Excuse me.
Way in the back, sorry.
Please.
116.
With it being their residence, their, I didn't know what the actual addresses were going to be, but yes, that's all correct.
So in that open
Just
field right now,
to the right of that mailbox, pretty much where your cursor is where the new pole will be installed, and then there'll be a line that goes up to 116's driveway, and then continuing on when the next resident decides to build and request electric service along that shared access road.
okay. So this is not just a driveway for this property here?
That's a common access for all three lots,
Got
yes.
it. All right. Just want to be clear.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And this is just standard new pole?
Yeah, just a
Additional
new pole,
service.
and then there'll be an overhead line servicing both lots in the future
Okay.
along their property. But we need to, just because of the curvature of the road, we need to, as a utility, install a new pole right to the right of that mailbox.
Okay, all right.
not compromise the integrity of the lines that we have there.
Got it, okay. And as this is indicated, this is going to be shared between Eversource and Verizon, so both will run their lines on the same pole?
Yeah, we'll notify them when our new pole is set, if approved, and they'll come and transfer their infrastructure and remove the old.
There's one further thing that was mentioned in here, and since I have the folks here from the fire department, also that you agreed to reserve space for one cross-arm, at a suitable point on each of the poles, each pole at this point in time, for fire and police telephone signal wires belonging to the municipality and used exclusively for that purpose. So that allows for our communication with fire and police out there as well.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you. If you have nothing, I gather we have one of the homeowners here, or?
Both of the lot owners.
Oh, okay. All right, homeowners here. Do we have any questions for the Eversource gentleman here?
I do not.
Okay. All right. So if you folks would just like to say anything, you're welcome to come on up. Those whose current or future residences will be affected.
I'm in the process.
Come on up, please. Sorry. Yeah, just introduce yourself and.
Sure.
Yeah.
My name is Matthew Frame. I'm the owner of 116 East Street. I'm in the process of building that house, and part of that process is getting utilities to it. So
Got it.
we've got all of our approvals for septic and for the water line, but we need power.
Got it. Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Okay. If no further discussion on our part, then I would take a motion to.
Move we close
Yes.
the public hearing.
All right.
Second.
Second. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Now I will take a motion to act upon this request, this petition.
I move that we approve the petition as presented tonight.
Okay.
And I'll second that.
All right. No further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you. Easy done. All right. Thank you very much. Seems pretty straightforward, so thank you very much. All right. Okay. Next up, I guess, Scott, Town Administrator's report, please.
I just want to give a big thanks to Ron and Glenn from the building department. We had a backup last weekend of the bathrooms. It was not a pleasant situation.
Move your,
And,
move your mic over just a little bit, sorry.
and they actually, it's not in their job descriptions to actually do that type of things, but they were able to
Jump in.
jump in literally and do it. So, I mean, that was above and beyond. So, and then Dave, our custodian, had to clean it up. So, but yeah, I think it's just a matter of, it's just good example of people going above and beyond, and they definitely need to have some recognition for that.
Right.
I also took part in the Western Mass Chiefs Association Legislative Firefighter Academy on Friday down in Springfield. I was attended by the state delegation, all the chiefs of Western Mass, a lot of the different mayors. One of the things on their priority list was, again, pushing forward with a unified Massachusetts building authority for public safety complexes. I guess over the last year, it's kind of evolved a little bit more to perhaps take into other public municipal buildings like libraries and council on agings. But that's still one of their biggest priorities, so it's pretty relevant. So hopefully something encouraged a little bit our state delegation.
I think that's a bill that's been, this is at least probably the third year, Chief, if I'm thinking, that's been introduced down there, but it never gets traction. So this would be a fund that would allow for some assistance to municipalities for funding public safety complexes in particular, similar to like our schools have a separate building fund. I think they'd like to model it after that, from what I've understood, but their challenge down at Beacon Hill has been to figure out all the mechanics of that, let alone the funding of it. And so it kind of gets momentum and then it dies, and then it gets represented, reintroduced again the next legislature. And so we'll keep following it.
I want to thank Chief Fasoli for inviting me. It was actually a really good experience. Learned a lot of things. For example, it's at a minimum for a new firefighter costs at least $25,000 to outfit them. The pants are $4,000. The jackets are a couple $1,000. The SCBA is like $9,000. So it's very expensive, and then the new regulations coming in July 1st, everything has to be PFAS free. So not only is it more expensive, but it also shortens the lifespan of that type of equipment. Then, we also got a demonstration on like the jaws of life and a few other interesting things. And a lot of the equipment that public safety and fire departments have now are getting outdated year after year because of the car manufacturers. Just with the strength of the car that they're using, different building materials. Something that happened, last year, that they could cut through the A pillar because it was just, folded sheet metal. Now they use like boron and different things to make it a little bit more structural. But now the old equipment can't cut through those types of things. So there's just this constant need of having to upgrade the equipment, and that's going to impact our capital projects going forward. So, thank you, Chief. It was a great experience. So. The other things, we had a lot of grant administration, the park grant. There were some required workshops I had to attend, the Mass DOT. We also had the Mass DOT meet and greet at the Westover Airport a week and a half ago. The head of Mass DOT was there, as well as local area mayors and the state delegation, representatives and senators. It was a good meeting, not too much substance, but I think it was, outlining their priorities and their emphasis on reaching out to local municipalities and taking into their, consideration any of the decisions that they make. So, and then there was also a good push for more Chapter 90 money. So,
Good. Yeah.
It was a good start, but we need a lot more.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I have started meeting with the departments for just a preliminary budget. One of the things we have to start this year is seeing if there's going to be any major impacts to any of the departmental budgets, so I can at least present a basic number to the FinCom and the Select Board in the next couple of weeks. So I did initially ask for 3 budgets to be prepared, a level funded, level service, and something that would continue with the efficiency a little bit more moving forward. I think I might actually just trim that down to level funded, level services, and then the wish list type of budget as well. So most of our departments are so small that a level funded and a level service is exactly the same thing. And we've already cut so much over the last couple of years. There's really no difference. I already met with the town accountant, treasurer today, and the chief today, and all 3 budgets are looking the same. So I might just trim that down.
Okay. So you haven't put out the full schedule though for the whole budget yet, but you're just doing the preliminary discussions with.
We just need to get a number together to see what it's going to look like on our side.
Okay, right. And we'll be having a joint FinCom early December with Select Board, right?
Yep.
Following on our quarterly meeting idea?
Yeah, was it January or December? I think it was.
I forget. I think it was December, but I could be
December.
wrong. I don't remember exactly, but, okay, good. Any questions of Scott? Anybody?
No.
No? Okay. So, Select Board report. Stephen, have you had any meetings lately?
I'll defer to you to talk about the inaugural meeting of the Housing Trust at the end of last month, and an upcoming meeting with a couple new people to be incorporated. Other than that, the Housing Authority met on the 5th, and we continue to anticipate the bid opening for the parcel the town acquired with CPA funds on College Highway that will, the RFP was for a unit of affordable housing in perpetuity to be owned by the resident or managed by the nonprofit, not to be an obligation of the town going forward. So we're looking forward to that and continuing to understand the issues around developing affordable housing.
Okay. Anything with assessors yet, or anybody?
I missed a meeting, I must confess.
Okay,
You added me. Wednesday night is the Open Space Committee, the 12th. That's open public meeting. Join us if you wish. And Thursday, the Greenways Committee.
Okay, very good. Good, all right. Ellen, anything?
Thursday met with community preservation, and most of the topic of the meeting were 2 things: the park grant for Conan Park and the spray pad project going forward, and walkways, and everyone was very supportive of that project in particular. We also took up the purchase of the Zipta property on Glendale Road and tossed that around quite a bit as to whether we wanted to, whether that was something to look to pursue. Sure, everyone was much one way or the other on it, so I think where we left it was that we would put in a bid to the sellers for it, see if they accepted that. The barn on the property is an issue that needs to be taken down.
Perhaps,
And so we, to put in a bid for that and see how that goes, and we can always take that up in May.
Maybe earlier, depending.
Maybe earlier.
Yeah.
But definitely going forward on the Conan Park project, for sure.
All right. Any other committees at all? No?
No, I didn't miss the conservation, was my usual.
Okay. And, yeah, I'm not sure where Board of Health is these days.
I was going to ask about that. I don't know.
I'd have to double check on our assignment on that one.
I think it's me.
I think it might be you, but I don't know that I've seen a meeting scheduled for them lately, though, but I could be wrong. Okay, on my end, a couple things I guess we've been involved in. Let's see. So Bylaws Committee met again this week just to review the final version of what the Bylaws Review Advisory Committee was recommending for a revision to the Financial Committee bylaw, and that will be discussed a little bit further later tonight. And then we will still be working on the Scenic Roads bylaw. We haven't had a chance to get much further into it than our last meeting, so we have to do some more work researching other towns, what they're doing with their Scenic Roads bylaws. But our intent is to get that one done for May town meeting. As Stephen mentioned, we had our first meeting, kickoff meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust, which is something we've been trying to stand up for a while. We authorized it in a town meeting and by law probably a year and a half ago or so there now. And we finally do have 4 people who have been appointed to it and 1 more who is interested. So if that person comes to the next meeting and would like to be involved, and the committee talks about it, we may very well have a full group for the Affordable Housing Trust, which would be great. So they will get going with another meeting before the holidays, but then probably do a lot of research about what they have to do for their roles and responsibilities, some legal things that they have to take care of, et cetera, and probably won't really get super going until January, I would think, offhand on that. But that's at least great to see that getting stood up finally. Attended the COA board meeting this past week, as Scott well knows. So we've had a challenge down there at the other end of the building with some horrific smell, odor area, which has now finally been figured out after many, many months of trying to figure it out. Some level of, I guess it's basically septic gas, right, Scott, that was seeping into the offices down there. So that has been, I guess the pipe has been capped or something that should have happened a while ago. So that has at least taken care of that. They're still frustrated a bit with HVAC issues down there. This building, as you know, when it was retrofitted, various things may not have happened all the way that they should. So the HVAC, when it's on down there, you can barely hear yourself talk. The cooling system is not terribly, I guess I would say, stable in terms of its reliability. 1 minute it's hot, and then the next minute it's freezing cold, and then the sound of the air conditioner is so loud you can't even hear yourself talk in the room. So it requires, unfortunately, Scott, to do a lot of reprogramming, I think, of the HVAC system to keep that working. So that's a constant challenge down at the other end of the building. Grants Committee, we're not having another grant meeting right away, but maybe in the next couple of weeks. There's a couple things coming along, I know, from Open Space Committee that they were talking about, and a couple of other groups are looking at possible grants. I just want to put a note out, too, for folks that I think are not totally familiar with how this got started. The ad hoc grant committee got started, grant search committee got started probably about 4 years ago now, and basically is in charge with looking at opportunities for grants, be they state or federal grants. Right now, it's a little bit more federal a little bit more state than federal, and then trying to then figure out, what kind of projects are there that the town has been wanting to do, that the departments or other committees or commissions have wanted to do, but they're looking for outside funding. And so this group of volunteers works with those individuals to try and look at the eligibility criteria for the grant program and puts together sometimes very complicated applications to get them in to the various state and federal programs for that. Most all of these grants are ones that are reimbursable, so we have to put money up front for the entire cost of the project, but then if a grant gets approved, the money comes back to the town. Most of our match for some of them, for example, are 25%. I think the biggest one I've seen is around the 34% thereabouts. So 66% has been kind of the maximum amount of money, I think. The 34% is the maximum amount of money that I've seen us have to approve for a match. So some have no match required whatsoever, which is great. And so all of this ends up being money from outside sources that help us get projects done that don't come out of our daily budget here in town. So we're keeping an eye out for things that happen. Sometimes they're in the transportation field, they're in recreation, they're in conservation, a variety of sectors, housing that come up. We're still looking for those construction ones for public safety and senior center, and the construction ones are really, really hard to find.
And a pumper truck?
Yeah, well, that one has already been applied for twice. So the fire truck, the pumper truck has been applied for. That we should have.
That the total of outstanding grant inquiries is well over $1 million.
Well, we've put in close to $1 million worth of requests this year.
Yes.
And we've received about $800,000 worth of positive response. So we are waiting on the biggest ones. Actually, the big one is the federal one from the Assistance to Firefighters grant. So we're waiting. That should have been probably August and September. Normally they would be announcing that, but with the federal shutdown and so forth, FEMA has not been very forthcoming. So we're still keeping our fingers crossed. But yeah, there's been about $1 million worth of grant proposals put forward to various agencies, and we've been very lucky in getting several of those funded. So, there's a lot of ones that we don't bother to go for because, again, there's some of these that have got so many strings attached that you don't want to put your name on them. It ties the town into too many different things, and we try to find the ones where we are the most likely to be competitive. As a small rural town, there's sometimes carve-outs for towns like Southampton that have a low population, less than 7,000 people. We have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to competing with other towns for grants. So it's statewide or it's federal, but sometimes we find a little niche that makes a lot of sense. So we keep our eyes out for that and try to find things that meet some of the requests and needs that we've heard about from various committees and departments. So we'll keep on that. There's nothing right now on the horizon. I know Mass Trails is opening up again for the spring, and we'll wait to hear from the Greenway Committee where they're going with that. But things are moving along anyway in that regard. I think that's it. No other meetings are scheduled right now, so we'll keep on watching the schedule for new meetings that are scheduled for the various committees. Okay, I think we're up to new business. How about special town meeting? Scott, you want to pull the information up on that? We do have a special town meeting scheduled. Let's make that nice and big so we can all see it. I had my copy that I marked up, and I promptly left that at home. So I'm going to have to remember my brain here. But go ahead.
So Article 1 is the transfer to the health insurance. We still don't have the amount from Hampshire Regional, but this is some of the funds that we would be taking it from. We did close out our remaining capital expenditures, so we did have a pool of money, about $275,000 left in that once we closed out all the old accounts over the last 5 to 10 years. So we were able to combine that. We take $150,000 from the operating. There was a few $1,000s left in the ambulance stabilization fund that we closed out last year to balance the budget based on some interest. And then the general highway wages would be $50,000. So that should cover us until for the rest of the year. We might need a small adjustment at annual town meeting just for the retiree, for the Medicare eligible plans. And then once we get some more information from Hampshire Regional, but this would cover our immediate costs to balance the budget for this fiscal year.
Right, because the Medicare is coming due in January, is that right?
Yep, it was a 20% increase for January 1st.
Yeah.
It's not as big of an impact. It'll be a couple, maybe about $25,000 worth, but it'll still be an impact.
Okay. Maybe just a tiny formatting thing. I don't know if we can put the 2185 over to the right a little more, so people can add it quickly. They might mislook at that and think that's, just make a little space there, just easier for people to read. Okay, so that would be just getting us through this fiscal year with these costs that are due now. Okay. All right. And I think, we've already talked about this being an increase of another 20% in addition to the 18% we already have. Okay. So we will wait to hear more about Hampshire Regional, but we know that that's a couple $100,000 worth as well.
Yep.
But not yet budgeted, right?
In the summary, it says Hampshire Country Group.
Yep, county.
Oops.
Yeah, well,
Where,
yeah, that's why we'll have a couple of sets of extra eyes tonight and try and correct anything we see. Okay.
Article 2, that's for the salary for the part-time conservation administrator. It's being taken from the land use coordinator position, which will probably be left vacant for the rest of the fiscal year. This would allow the Concom agent to remain on as a part-time basis throughout the year.
Will this carry us through the end of the fiscal year? Okay, we might want to just mention that, because I think it does in the next one. So if you wanted to add that, but.
Then we have the, let me just take transfer for health agent. Claudia was hired after the budget was formed. So this would just make up the funding between what was budgeted for and what the position was filled as. Next is the bylaw, the amendment to the Finance Committee. Originally, back in September, it was to transition it from being elected to an appointed board, which would align with most other municipalities in Massachusetts. There was a few other things that were added in the last couple months since September, mostly just outlining more specific their duties and responsibilities.
Yeah. Let's kind of go through those, Scott, a little bit, just so people can see them. This is the first time that some folks have seen them. Just one thing so this is, Bylaws Committee has gone through and made these recommendations, so everything that's in bold is a new wording or a new change on that. Just the one thing I'm just going to point it out, at the end of 335.1, we thought the last sentence was kind of redundant, or wasn't necessary. So I'm speaking from the Bylaws Committee now, that we thought it could just end coordination between those bodies and the Finance Committee, and then just stop right there, and not have that last sentence. That was our recommendation, but maybe when it goes to our KP Law people, they will look at it differently. Because we didn't see where Finance Committee usually is not, as Finance Committee so far has not been appointed to very, very many other boards or commissions. There's only 2 that I can think of right now. So,
Madam Chair,
yeah.
what if someone to be appointed to the Finance Committee was known to us through their good service on, say, the Conservation Commission? So devil's advocate might say, oh, if you have a member of the FinCom, you've got some special authority now from the Conservation Commission or wherever else the incumbent or the new appointee might be sitting. I'm not worried.
No. We've debated it quite a bit in the committee, and the only thing that we were able to discern from existing committees and commissions is that right now in the bylaw, I guess, of CPC itself, of Community Preservation, it does stipulate that there's a member from FinCom that is to be there, and they are therefore a voting member, okay? And the same right now with the current charge of the Public Safety Building Committee, there's a note that a FinCom member is also a voting member of that committee.
So dual
Various
membership
others
is
don't.
not unusual.
Well, it's pretty rare.
Well, I mean, there is that stipulation that was added about being elected,
Yeah,
the prohibition from being
Right.
an elected official.
Right.
Which I think is good because we've had other positions in the last couple of years that have been elected, like the PQB, for example, we had employees elected to the PQB, which would be most likely a conflict of interest in a lot of instances. So we might want to start looking overall about having some prohibition on those types of things.
so I think, basically what this does, just for anybody who's listening here, the current Finance Committee bylaw is very, very light. It doesn't go into any kind of detail, so this, if you just scroll up just a second, Scott, just a minute. If you so write that duties and whatever there, number there, 35, whatever, 35.5. Those things were added explicitly to give more detail to what the FinCom's duties are. So reviewing expenditure and commitments of the town departments, quarterly meetings with select board, treasurer, an accountant, et cetera, working to help us prepare the annual budget. And then they obviously have control over the reserve fund for MGL. And so those were ones that were silent in the current bylaw, and we thought it was useful to be able to point these out more directly. And then just down in the motion, I think it is, Scott, we have to add 35.6 right in that part. Add 35.5 and 35.6, I think. And then the date of the town meeting is
Ooh.
the 6th, yeah.
A little too early.
Yeah. There we go. I think that was what came to our brain anyway. So just, that was our only comment, was that, we were, helped draft this, but it, we just thought that one thing in the first section wasn't really necessary. Okay. Go ahead, Don.
Next up are the changes to the PQB. The first article would rescind the previous, anything previously adopted, establishing the PQB, so it goes back to 1988. Let me get rid of these hyphens.
And you said that had been researched by the town clerk as to when that was actually... So PQB, for everybody who's listening, that's our abbreviated name for Personnel Policies and Procedures Board, so PQ. P 3 times. We just do it the short way. So, yeah.
And then the second one would just transfer basically everything that was done previously by the PQB officially to the select board.
And just talk about that rationale a minute.
So one of the things is, the PQB is, to me, an unnecessary layer of bureaucracy. We have approvals by the FinCom, by the PQB, by the select board, the town administrator to even post a position. And that can take sometimes months for everything to get done. If there's not a quorum, if there's not enough people on the committee, if they miss the monthly meeting, it pushes everything back. And realistically, a lot of this stuff is just, administrative work, posting a job description, posting a job advertisement is not that big of a deal, really. And it really doesn't need 3 layers of approval to do that. So this would just streamline everything. According to the PQB's own bylaws, they're really a advisory committee because everything has to be technically approved by the select board anyways. So this would streamline everything.
I think you had a September there, right up above.
Another September.
Yep.
Here.
Sorry.
I'll do a word search before.
Yeah.
There's another
One more
one.
motion. Yeah.
Next one is the acquisition of the Trinseri property. So there was, in the September one, there was 2 motions, one grant dependent and one not grant dependent, so, or is that the other property? The other one, sorry. Sorry, Mark. So this is for the $50,000 for the Trinseri property. It's not, I originally made the mistake of saying $100,000, so it's actually $50,000 that's going to be reimbursed once approved by the town from Kestrel. So this would allow us to move forward with that. This would be through the CPC.
So Kestrel is putting forth the 50,000, not CPC,
Right,
right?
right. Well, reimbursed.
They will find
Come on up, sorry.
Mark Cassis, Open Space Committee and CPC. So they said they would come up with the funds for the purchase. So they're going to work with other groups to make sure they provide the town the $50,000 for the purchase. So in essence, we'll be reimbursed. But this says the town will put the money up front and then get reimbursed.
Right, but this is not a CPC.
This is not CPC and does not require a conservation restriction. It will be protected under Chapter 97.
And then next is the Floric property, and this one was contingent on receiving the grant, which since September they did receive. So there is confirmation of that. So the other one that was non-contingent was deleted. So this would move forward with the 27 acres off of Fulmer Road.
And then just, there's one thing in there, Scott, I saw, sorry, in terms of the, somewhere there was an amount mentioned of 271.
Oh, and yeah, I fixed that in the motion.
Okay, yeah.
Down here?
Okay,
Yep.
281, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, that was,
So again, this is partially coming from CPC, but then the majority of this is coming from the land grant that has actually been received now. Is that right?
66%.
So the land grant, so we have to put forth the full amount of the value of whatever's being asked for this property, excuse me, but when we get the, if that passes, then the land grant money reimburses the community preservation account. Okay.
next up is the unpaid accounts from prior fiscal years. So there's two things that were added. There was the environmental monitoring for the landfill. That was, Claudia just got a prior year bill from that, so. So that was added to that. And it should add up to the 5898.
Yeah. And these are because the bills didn't come in by what, by June 30th or something?
So anything after June 30th that we don't receive needs town meeting to approve.
We might just add another sentence in the summary, just to note that work was done, but bills were not received or something like that.
Yep.
Just so it's clear for people.
Then we have the $60,000 from the water department for the 22 water main grant. That was our grant that was awarded that the town ended up paying. So this is reimbursing the town for that.
And just a quick question, sorry, the retained earnings is from the water enterprise fund or water department's budget already?
Yes. Yep. So they have two accounts and they're transferring it from one account to the other to pay the town.
Can I raise a question?
Yeah, come on.
I find this summary confusing. It says it's returning it to the town and the other accounts look like the water department accounts. So you want to clarify for the final presentation.
Yeah, I mean, the transfer is between funds managed
water
by the water
department.
department right now, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't sure which retained earnings funds we were talking about, so from retaining earnings fund, yeah. So maybe just that the, in the motion and the summary, just, or whichever, where it should be clear, just to say where that, we're essentially just transferring money between line items, if you will, right, within the water department budget,
Yep.
essentially.
So that would allow them to pay the town.
Right, so that might just be a little clarity in the summary, maybe, perhaps. Just double check, maybe just we can avoid questions. Okay.
We are a little bit light on our street lighting account, just from the budget process. We didn't carry everything over, so this $12,000 would let us go for the rest of the fiscal year. So when we did all the combination, we didn't include some of the street lighting accounts, so.
From where? From when we did combinations of what? Sorry. Go back.
For when we did with the new budget process, when we consolidated a lot of the items,
Yeah.
we didn't carry over some of the street lighting accounts. So this would carry, this is for this fiscal year, to pay some of the upcoming lighting bills for the street lights.
So this gets us through the entire fiscal year now?
Should. And this comes from our previous year encumbrances. So Bradley was able to close out that account earlier this year. So we used that money that was set aside for last year's fiscal year's invoices for this year. So
I see. So now they just basically have to transfer from fiscal year to fiscal year for us to use them, the encumbrances, okay.
Next up is the park grant, and
Sorry,
this.
You're going to fill in the account number up there? Yeah,
Yep,
just
I
highlight
gotta get that
too.
from Bradley.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, go ahead.
Next up is the park grant. So this is the one that the town received the $99,000 for the improvements to Conant Park, which included the, not splash pad,
Spray pad.
spray pad, and the walking paths. So one of the requirements from the state is that the town fully fund this, and then once it's expended, they would get reimbursed for the $99,000. So it's a 60% reimbursement rate. So if the town is up to, so if the town spends $150,000 on it, we get reimbursed up to that $99,000. This language had to be approved by the state ahead of time, so it's a little bit of not what I would word it, but it satisfies the EOEA.
So this is the state-approved language for the wording of the article, okay.
Yep, so they required things like the actual deed transfer of the property for the park, as well as who applied for the grant, so.
Yeah. I mean, the property is transferred to the town back in the 50s, right? So, yeah. And so just for Bill, so this had been voted one time earlier. We had applied for this grant a couple of years ago, got the grant, were able to buy the equipment toward the end of the grant. We'd done a bunch of studies at Conant Park about location and things like that, and then were able to buy the actual equipment, but the grant timing ran out to do any work, and they wouldn't extend the grant. So unfortunately, that we never used the money that they had put aside for us, and so we applied again, and they are willing to let us use money now to install this facility. So.
Chris, could you describe the equipment that was purchased with the prior grant?
I could. I'd have to think about that. So it's basically going to be...
Is it inaccurate to say that a splash pad is a new design that is, water efficient and better health for the kids?
Yeah,
So it will replace the function, if not the decorative purpose of the other fountain?
Yeah, it's actually called a spray pad rather than spray deck rather than a splash pad, because we decided to go, after investigations last time, to go with a low flow to avoid drainage issues, also to avoid water use. It'll be I got to look at the dimensions of it. I can find it in just a second here. A small area that will be basically a cement pad that's going to have 4 or 5 structures on it. Some will be misting features so that kids, adults, anybody can walk through on a hot day, and they have to push a bollard to activate it. But there's no standing water, there's no septic issues on this. It's all piped in into the culvert, I believe, that's there. So we've gotten through all the other thoughts about that, and then we're going to just double check again, I think, just on location and other things that have to be, filled out in terms of, where things are at the park now, how close is it going to be to the current playscape relationship from Conant Pavilion, the park pavilion, over to it, because the idea of this park is to get it slowly to make it an accessible park, which is not right now. So I believe there's going to be a pathway from Conant Pavilion toward the pathway, toward the pad itself and the pathway. I'd have to
I think
pull
it's
it up.
really important to remember all of that prior planning work and to explain why we have a splash
Spray deck.
spray pad
Spray deck.
pump with no place to install it, because we were forced by the state to think it through as an entirety
Yeah.
with accessibility in mind.
Right.
So
Right.
a lot of good work has been done so long ago that it's out of mind, and the questions keep, legitimate questions about water use and so on, keep coming back. But it's really reassuring to know that they've been addressed. And we're going forward with the final
and we'll
stages.
definitely be double checking everything too. I mean, we're not,
Well, we need this approved at town meeting, because we're
Correct,
already
yeah,
approved
right.
for the
And-
reimbursement.
right. And so this will be an accessible walkway too. So it'll be not cemented. It'll be able to be, it's like a stone dust permeable surface, but it'll be able to take wheelchairs, strollers, whatever. If I can find the dimensions, I'd do that. But go ahead, and maybe I'll find them by the end. Go ahead, Scott, sorry.
Just one thing to emphasize, especially on this one, that this is a Community Preservation Act fund, so it's not coming from the general fund. And these types of projects are important because it's, the CPA isn't just for land preservation.
Right, that's true.
So there's a lot of quality of life things that actually come from the Community Preservation Act. And this is a prime example of that. So thanks for the CPA for that, so.
Can I ask a question on the street?
We don't usually take questions during this time. We'll take it afterwards, but, okay, but not during the public meeting usually. Go ahead.
And then finally, the latest one was the purchase of the Glendale Road property. This was the little bit less than 2.5 acres over off Glendale Road, which was originally part of the ZIPTA trust that was acquired by the Water Department back in the 90s, I believe. So this would be a combination of two sources. The first one being $50,000 from the CPA, and then the remainder from the Conservation Commission with some additional funding to cover closing costs, phase 1 environmental exploration, as well as any costs that would be required to take down the barn that's on the property. So this hasn't been accepted by the sellers. This would be their bid. So in the next week or two, hopefully we can come to an agreement with the landowners. This is essentially what the town would be proposing to them. They could say yes, they could say no.
Yeah.
So we don't really know at this point.
So if they did not agree to this, then this would go off the warrant? Okay. Or it could be on the warrant and we would just pass it over at town meeting? Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Mark, come on up, just because you're part of this open space craziness here and whatever.
Open Space Committee, Mark Cassis. So an idea came up that the possibility of excluding the barn from the parcel and actually maybe selling it to the neighboring person, that way it gets rid of the liability without really a change in the conservation value. I think the language should make sure we include that possibility. And there's specific wording in there. It says contingent of current owner would remove the barn prior to purchase or transfer the barn to off of the parcel.
I think the main thing was that we felt that the barn structure was pretty unstable at this. I mean, it would possibly create a problem for the town.
Maybe more likely the family would sell if they can just give it to the neighbors, take it out of the
Who does have a
parcel
barn
we're
next
buying.
door anyway.
Yeah, so that is maybe a more, it's another option we want to keep open, I
Right,
think.
yeah. Okay. Maybe we can meet with Scott afterwards and talk about that tomorrow or the day after. Just getting
Or a
clarity. Sorry,
portion of. I'm not a lawyer, but I play one on TV. You just insert the words "all" or "portion of" in the legal description. And if you want to talk fine art of legal editing, I'd make clear the Hampshire District or Hampshire Registry book and page is ahead of the town's assessor's reference book and page. Because that's the way you do title. But it describes what's envisioned, and it took many, many people, many nights deliberation to get to this formulation.
And I think that the main thing here, in terms of the interest, is because this abuts the current ZIPTA conservation property, which is close to 100 acres, I believe, when you count both sides of the road, both sides of the highway and the property there of existing conservation land. And this was a couple of acres that was held out by the family for the family's use. And now the last person in the family has passed away. The direct family member has passed away. So this has become available to consider, at least. Yeah, Mark.
I would possibly leave it on the warrant, even if they refuse our first bid, because there's a chance that 6 months from now, it will not.
Yeah, no.
I think so, we want to have that option.
Yeah. No, I don't think we'd take it off now. It's just if nothing has been concluded by town meeting, then I think when we get to town meeting, we just make a motion to pass over.
But my question is whether it's worth leaving on the warrant, because there's a chance that 6 months from now, the family still hasn't sold it.
Oh,
And it's
okay.
going to come back to us, and we'll have that option at least.
Yeah,
If we don't have it on the warrant, we won't have the option.
yeah.
But I think it's fair to disclose to the public whether or not it's under agreement.
Right, exactly, yeah. All right, well, we'll consider that over the next day or two here. Okay, so that we still have to just maybe tinker with the wording a little bit on that, just to get a little bit more clear on that. And then, so is the next step for you to contact the Realtor, Scott, or what is the next step?
Yeah, we do have to, I would informally put forward this offer to see what they say.
Okay.
And if there is some, and if there is a likelihood that they would accept it, then we could go forward with a former PNS.
I see, okay. All right. Just to answer the question on the spray deck, I just found it. So it's called the Vortex. This is sort of the name of it. It's a spray zone is a slip-resistant concrete surface, about 25 feet in diameter. So it's a circle, about 25 feet in diameter, with about 3 to 5 gallons per minute. So up to 10, I believe, play features. So some are mist, some are like little statues like a frog that squirts water, and then others are misting features. So it's a lot of more misting as a cooling station rather than lots of water just continually running. So it's only there for the short amount of time that a kiddo would go by and push the bollard, it'd go and run through it for 5 minutes or whatever. So we've chosen the least voluminous, I guess, in terms of water usage that we could find. Okay, that's what I know. Okay, all right. Any other comments about the warrant? I know we still have to tinker with the language, and it's not going to be posted right yet. But at this point, we have no other articles coming forward that we know of, right?
Nope, it's closed.
So I think we need to take a motion to close the warrant for the special town meeting.
That's congruent with what Scott just said.
I think so. Yeah. Okay.
I move we close the warrant for the special town meeting to be held December 6th, 2025.
Okay.
Second that.
All right. And that doesn't, that means that we'll still tinker with, any typos and get, dates and everything synced, and then especially that last article to get that clear.
Yeah, we're going to proof this a few times.
And proofread it, yeah, again, a couple more times. I don't know, Scott, too, I'd mentioned before that sometimes we've always had the CPC articles toward the end as a group, so whether it makes sense to reorder those last couple, because I know the Eversource one, or the lighting one came in at the last minute, so.
Yeah, I'll reorganize those
Makes sense
once
to
I put everything
reorganize
into
them.
the regular
That's all.
format. Yep.
Sometimes it's easier to have those as a group rather than split up all over the place. Okay. All right, so we have a motion. I don't think did we vote? I'm sorry. Did we vote?
We did everything but voted.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We have closed the motion, the warrant for the special town meeting. All right. Thank you. All right. Next up, Scott, adding consent agenda on warrant.
So this is just one of the initiatives I wanted to look at, maybe not for special town meeting. I did propose this to Robert. He thinks it may not be appropriate for a special town meeting, but I am looking for ways to streamline and make things more accessible for town meeting. Things like the QR code for downloading things, the Facebook Live, any Q&As that we might have, moving it to Saturday to accommodate schedules a little bit more. So anything that we can do to increase participation from the public, I think is a good thing. What a consent agenda is, it's basically taking a group of articles that are non-controversial and that have generally been approved and grouping them into one article for approval. It doesn't mean that they'll automatically be approved. Anyone at town meeting can raise an objection and have that part taken out. So if it's an unpaid bill from last year and people want to explore that more, and it's in a group of 3 or 4 different articles, someone can just raise their hand and knock that out. But it's a useful tool that other town meetings have had in the past, so it might be something that we might explore for annual town meeting.
Okay. So no action at this point in time, and the idea is just to improve efficiency, and that's about it, really. Okay. I mean, I can see that in large communities where you've got lots and lots and lots of articles. But then again, at our annual town meeting, we do have sometimes 30 articles, so I guess that's true. But depending on how many are actually related to each other, yeah. Okay. So we'll explore that for the future. But we don't need any work on that tonight.
Madam Chair.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Robert, please.
Robert Floyd, Town Moderator, College Highway. the 3 articles that were proposed and passed the addition. Generally, what works for a consent agenda is articles that have been annually reoccurring.
Okay.
Everyone's familiar with, routine, no explanations necessary, non-controversial, predictable.
Okay.
The third one presented with the invoices for a former fiscal year, that generally requires a 9/10 approval. If that's lumped in the consent agenda, all the other articles in the consent agenda need a 9/10 approval.
Okay.
I wouldn't set the town up to do that.
Yeah.
And it works better at an annual meeting.
Yeah.
And we had the consent in practice at our last annual for the budget. And what I'll modify for this coming annual is when someone yells out hold, rather than pulling that article out of the consent agenda, the moderator will ask, you have a question or you want a debate? And if it's a question, we'll address the question immediately.
Mm-hmm.
If it's debate, we'll pull it out and take it separately.
I see. Okay. Okay, well, something we'll have to explore for the next time
Yeah, it
around.
works.
Yeah.
Historically, I felt I was faster than explaining
Yeah.
the consent agenda.
Yeah,
But
no,
I'm
probably
under
true.
the belief that we're ready for it now.
Okay, all right.
Great.
Good
Cheers.
Okay, thanks. All right, yeah. Steven, sorry, question.
No, I just wanted to
Robert
give the
answered.
moderator an opportunity
All
to
right,
speak.
thank you. All right.
I
Okay,
know this has been a bit odd with committee chairs and our moderator interacting with us, but they're the ones that are bringing these, that are forming these opportunities.
yep. Okay, next up, Public Safety Building Committee, next steps. Want to take a lead on that? Or, I know we had the chief come in, was it last meeting? I guess it was? And give us a bit of an update in terms of what the thinking was of the Public Safety Building Committee, but you want to pick it up a little bit?
So I think that we're looking for some general guidance from the select board. At the last meeting, the Public Safety Building Committee recommended moving forward with a different type of project, which would have been a fire department being built first and designed alongside the community areas and the police department, but focusing on building the fire department first and then doing it in stages. I think it's up to the select board to kind of look at which direction do you want to go. Do you want to go forward with the recommendation from the Public Safety Building Committee, maybe form a new committee and a new charge? Do you want to go forward with the original HKT plan? Do you want to do nothing? Do you want to do a police station first? So there's a lot of different options, but I think, some general guidance on where the select board is on how to move forward with the next steps. And whether or not, you want, I think ultimately, do you want to adopt the recommendation from the Public Safety Building Committee?
I wish we had the actual motion that was made. I don't remember the exact language. Do you have it? I think it was basically to say, put a hold on the HKT plan as is, largely because of the cost, is what I recall, and move forward somewhat in a new direction, but giving priority to the fire station, but making it an inclusive, I think still making it an inclusive plan with the idea that it could be expanded to the police station in the future. I don't have the right wording in my head, though.
Right, so everything, it would be designed as a complex, so that we don't make a mistake in the design of it and put, the bays right where the police station could connect, where we don't put the fire station right in the middle of the piece of property, and there's no way that we can expand it in the future. So it would essentially still be designed as a public safety complex, but it would be designed to do it in phases. So, we could do the fire department and the community room and the training aspects first, and then in a few years, once that project is a little bit closer to completion, we could take the next step and look at filling out the police department part of it.
Okay, I don't think I've heard anybody talk about, having been on the committee, anybody talk about having the police station go first. So I'm not sure that that's even a question. I think everybody on the committee that I recall really felt that the fire station is the highest of the two priorities, given the state of the building and the working conditions. But I think there was definitely, and I'll put it for myself, I know I was concerned that we needed something with enough teeth in our motion that we are not forgetting about the police station, because whether it's today or 2 years from now, that has got to change too. That is an absolutely non-functional police station for this size town. And the renovation for that building would be not a good use of money, in my opinion. I think it's also hard when you think about a build-alone station. If we were to do fire alone, then you're not having any economies of scale. So this idea of something expandable is more attractive. How we actually do that or word that, I'm willing to hear comments from my fellow colleagues here, what you're thinking here. Anybody? Stephen, anything? Thoughts?
Trying to separate what I heard from what I believe.
Well, both.
I think you've summarized it accurately, that the consensus of the building committee, since Chief Rizzoli wants to speak, we're speaking for them, was to go forward with the fire department design and police department integral, though we might build them one at a time. That's what I heard. What about the HKT plan? I think it's really important for us to put a fork in that. It's dead. It's for all people who put in many hours of good, hard work supporting that effort. I think we really need to divorce ourselves from that plan and to take another hard look at facilities and costing, and get local help this time. And I don't mean to disparage HKT as a firm, but we're a place where that is toxic in this town.
Okay.
Personally, I want to see the thing built
Oh, sure.
all at once.
Got it, yeah.
Well, sure. I want to make sure that everyone hears.
I've heard you before on that one, so yeah.
I want to see it all built at once, and I believe that it will help us drive synergies so that the park piece can happen. So the mixed-use, commercial use has a chance of happening. Access to the greenway and affordable housing could each follow their own development and permitting path. We hope they all succeed. But the first piece, the piece we're talking about tonight, is public safety building, and I don't want to build just a fire station.
Yeah. Okay. Ellen, thoughts?
I'd hate to see we talk about the energy moving forward. While we have the energy of pushing this project forward, I'd hate to see the police part of that fall back. I mean, it's been a number of years we've been trying to push both of them and racking our brains and going through studies and trying to see how we can move them both forward, and have not made a great deal of progress to move them both forward at the same time. So I guess I would accept the idea of sort of breaking them down into the two and working on a plan if we're going to move forward with the fire. I think that police has to be piggybacked on that, on any idea that we have and moving forward with it to make sure that if we're putting this together down the road, that it's not too far down the road, and that we're not cutting off our opportunity while we have it now to actualize these within our lifetimes.
Yeah.
I think along the way, or at the end, we need to present to the voters the cost comparison about doing one, the second one, 5 years, 10 years down the line, as compared to doing them together. We don't have that data now.
Yeah, no, we don't.
We need the experts to help.
I mean, all that has been talked about, I think, in the past at the Public Safety Building Committee meetings, through our meetings with the consulting architect, HKT, is the percentages of increase in costs that have been for the last few years, and that trend that's been going still forward, unfortunately. It's not necessarily getting less and less. I mean, a lot of that prior to this was due to COVID issues, due to supply chain issues, price of steel, et cetera. Some of that has changed, but all in all, we still have not heard solid arguments about how anything we do is still less than the amount of cost per square foot that we've been told, which is around the $1,000 mark. And I think that's our challenge. I mean, I think the I really do want to, I feel like I need to stick up for HKT a little bit, because I think they've worked really hard with this, and I think they've presented a very good plan based on needs assessments and work that we've all done together. I think where we're all reticent and recognizing that the issue is it's really related to cost. It's not so much the design itself, but the cost, and therefore there's, the cost per square foot in particular. And so that's really the challenge. Whether that can be sort of a similar footprint but scaled down, I'm not sure that that's going to get us, we've got, we look around this building that was retrofitted to be from a school to a town hall. I mean, the hallways, you look at the wasted space in this hallway right out here. If you were building this today, you would not have that kind of a hallway, right? You wouldn't have that extra wasted space. So those are the kind of things I think we've already tried to do with HKT and kind of narrow things down to make it, logical. So I'm not sure how much more can be done to lower the footprint, I guess I would say, or make it smaller. But Scott, go ahead.
I mean, I think there also has to be a realistic expectation. We're at 16,000 square feet right now between the police and fire, and we don't need less. We need a lot more. And when you look at the last 5 years of public safety building or police or fire projects over the entire state, literally from Provincetown to Lenox, Provincetown's new police station is 14,000 square feet, and that came in at $17 million. If you look at Auburn, theirs is 30,000 square feet. It's coming in at $31 million. If you look at Lenox, which just opened up this weekend, they're at 20,000 square feet at $22 million. Lawrence is about a little over 50,000 square feet at a little over $50 million. Some of that and another 10 million state subsidized, and we'll get into that. Princeton is about 18,000 square feet at $15 million. If you look at Warren, it's 30,000 square feet at $30 million. Williamsburg was, a little under 8,000 square feet, and that's right around $5 to $6 million. So that $1,000 per square foot, that's a consistent thing throughout the entire state. And if there was a magic way to get that reduced, I think we not only would take advantage of it, but the reality is building in Massachusetts is more expensive than building in New Hampshire or Vermont or Connecticut. So you have to look at the minimum amount of square foot that we need for any facility and multiply that by close to $1,000.
Well, and I think that, the 16,000 square foot actual is what we have for both police and fire right now. And I believe we trimmed it down to 21,000, right? I think it was. So from 27,000 square feet or something to 21. But some of that, you could still maybe trim a little bit, but not a whole lot. Because again, just even the fire trucks that we have now barely squeak into that fire station. And the apparatus itself has gotten so much bigger that you got to build enough for that. And so, I can't see us going less.
Park that pumper truck.
Well, you're hoping that we get it. I do too. But I think, the notion of having anything less than 16,000 square feet is, to me, that's kind of a non-starter. I mean, that's what we have already. So how we do that is the question. I think, so what I'm hearing you say is that you want first for us to make a decision as to which option to follow, and then that would allow you to take some next steps, talking to whomever, HKT, builders, engineers.
Yeah, I think it's important to get some ideas and actually go to the different architects just to see, what's feasible, what are the current trends. And this isn't just an HKT issue. I mean, what I rattled off was all different types of architects. It wasn't HKT and it wasn't other one. I mean, literally across the entire state,
right.
And different cost estimators too, and different building companies. So
right.
It's not just an HKT issue alone. It's literally everywhere. I mean, that's what the cost is.
Well, and I think one of the things too that we always forget until we go out to bid is that we've got to have prevailing wage, right? So that's something that I don't even know what the percentage is that may add to a regular cost. But when you've got to go from prevailing wage rather than what you would normally find in the local job marketplace, it's a totally different animal that adds to the cost. I mean, I think we've probably experienced it, in some of our other projects around town over the years, but I mean, that's something that we don't have much control of, because it's a mass general law that we have to put out prevailing wage, right? And so they put out a list that we have to abide by, so.
I mean, the good news is Megan just sent me the current rates for municipal borrowing right now, and they are going into the threes.
Oh, yeah.
So, when we looked at the total cost and total impact on the taxpayers, we were right around like 4.5%. Knocking off another percent from that is going to have a pretty big impact on what the tax bill will be.
It would, yeah, okay. Okay. Well, I know we had some comments at the Public Safety Building Committee about some other ideas of approaching, someone had talked to an architect and engineer, I believe, and so I think that would be a next step after we give a thought about, direction, I guess I would say, for where we think the select board would want to go. I think I don't want to summarize, but I'm thinking I'm hearing we're sort of in line with this notion of what public safety was recommending, of looking at the entire police and fire, but starting with fire and making it ready for police. Is that what I think I heard?
I think it's fool's errand. I think you can predict that would be 25% more expensive, 50% more expensive. And I'm not willing to sacrifice the police. I mean, if you've taken a tour of the police station, it is not safe for our staff, let alone the public that may come in to have business with the police. It is not protective of victims where an assailant or an alleged assailant is in the holding pen in the same hallway. It is not safe for the public in the sense that evidence and other dangerous things are secured as best they can be, but not at all like what a normal police station has.
So, yeah, don't disagree, but I mean, so are you saying?
I would say revise the charge to reflect the good work done, but send back to pursue further refining costs and projections for the entire thing, not as a two-phase project.
But I'm not sure about sending it just back to HKT. That's what I wasn't hearing Scott say.
No, send it back to the committee.
The committee, yeah. No, a new charge would have to be developed. That is true. A new charge, because the charge that's there has,
I thought
they've
that's
gotten
what
to
we
the
were
end of it.
supposed to do today.
We're not making the charge today. We have to start with the directions so that Scott then knows
I think it's-
what the next steps
Okay.
are, and then
It's very
that
clear to
leads
me,
us into
so
that
I'll
charge.
stop talking.
That leads us into the charge, is if we say we want to do fire station only, then that's one description in the charge. If it's, we want the whole thing designed but give priority to building the fire station, that's a little bit different in terms of any discussions that Scott can have with engineers or architects or HKT or whomever.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying, is that,
All right.
I think that's the level of clarity, that's what I'm hearing you say, anyway, that's the level of clarity you want from us, so.
Yeah, and then I can develop a roadmap from that.
So it's, I mean, out of the, 3 or 4 choices. So stick with HKT as is, which public safety is not recommending. I think they all voted not to stick with it as is, but again, primarily because of cost, knowing that that would not pass the voters. Nobody has talked about a standalone police station, so I think that's off the table. So I think there's 2 options, right? A standalone fire only, and then a combined design of a public safety building that has both fire and police, but priority given to constructing the fire stations, but not forgetting that we want to go for a police station. Yeah?
Yep. I mean, everything would be designed all at once. It's just, essentially, it needs to be designed specifically that you build one part of it first, and then in the future to expand onto it.
Okay, well, that's, okay. Would somebody like to try and make a motion? Ellen? Steve, anybody?
I move that we
Come on,
direct the
everybody.
town administrator to explore value engineering options and approaches with local engineers and builders. And based on the findings, that we update the charge. Well, we'll take that later.
We'll get there, but I think we still need to, are we saying, I think I just
Yeah,
pushed
both.
2 off the table. I pushed police only off the table, and I pushed doing nothing off the table. I think there's 2 choices that we have to decide on.
Do them both together, or would you?
We need a motion, so are we going to, which do we like? Do we want fire only, or do we want design everything but build fire first? Those are the 2 choices that
I
I'm
want the
hearing.
research before I vote no.
Okay. Research on what? Without that, he doesn't know which way to go in terms of what we want him to
One
do.
facility.
One facility. So that's the combined, is what I'm
That's what
hearing.
I will vote.
Okay, that's what I'm saying combined, but okay. Somebody make a motion, please. Ellen, go for it.
I would make a motion that we have the town administrator explore the options open to us to going along the lines of building one facility, integrating is the right word, integrating the fire, addressing needs of both the fire and police in the facility, perhaps with the intention of having fire as the first step, police as secondary. Does that cover that?
Sort of clear? Is that-
I understand. I'll second that.
Yeah, thank you. All right. All right. Well, let's take a vote then. All those in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye, okay. So I think that's what we would like to see happen, that one facility is still the desire, however we call it, integrated, combined, whatever we call it,
Phase.
but given priority to the fire station side of it first. Okay? All right. Good enough? That get you next step down the line? Because I think that then allows
Yeah.
you to go and talk to people, whether, it's HKT. I mean, I think we have to involve HKT, just let them know what's going on, obviously, but then it allows you to be able to open out to other entities, at least just have an informal discussion about, here's where we are, we're kind of stuck, what can you help us think through, and just see what we hear.
I think the goal would be for annual town meeting, because we're going to need additional funding for any future studies as well, so.
Right, yeah.
And just get some cost estimates on
Yeah.
we don't need another 400-page report like HKT did. There's a lot of great work that they can do, and a lot of it's still valid. So it's a matter of just taking that and then just kind of refining it to what we need
Yeah.
into the.
Yeah, I'm
different
hoping that,
approach.
there's a lot of work that should still be relevant, I think, no matter which way we go. There's a body of research and so forth that's been done that I think should still serve going forward into anything else, I hope. Because we've definitely spent a lot of money on feasibility studies, but that's good, so. All right, next up, moving on. So, we usually don't have audience members participate in this part. That's what the open time for the public is all about. Committee members, would you like to entertain one question? If I do, it's going to be only one. We're not going to have a debate on this. This is the select board meeting, but okay.
My question.
Go ahead. Come on up, address
5
us
minutes
at the
in
mic.
aggregate.
I'm just trying to, Blaze 11 Old Harvest.
Yep.
I'm just trying to clarify.
Name and address, please. Name and address.
Blaze 11 Old Harvest.
Okay.
So the question I have is, you were reading something about $30 million for, I'm talking to him here directly.
Scott.
Okay, I don't know if you were paying attention, I'm sorry. You were mentioning, what was it, Auburn was $30 million. Can you read that again, what you were clarifying that, or clarify that for me?
Those are
Auburn was
various-
around 30,000 and 30 million.
30 billion.
And there was a few of them. Can you read those again, please?
Provincetown was a police station for around 14,000 and 17 million. Auburn was 30 and 30.
30,000 square feet.
Yeah, Lennox was around 20,000, 22 million. Lawrence was in the 50s. Princeton was 15 million and about 18,000 square feet. Warren, I believe they did the 30-30. Williamsburg was 8,000, and they came to be 5 to 6 million.
So my question is, from what you're basing this off of, like Auburn, $30 million, what was their tax base? Where were they getting the money from?
We're not even, we're just saying that all these facilities are basically still coming out at something that is much closer to the $1,000 per square foot, which is exactly what we've been hearing even earlier than these current architects. But that's the figure that people have told us that we've been working with. It started less than that 10 years ago. It's gone up over time. So that's where we are. We're trying to figure out, and again, a large part of that is the prevailing wage that I mentioned. So a lot of that gets factored into that cost per square foot. So that's part of the challenge that we have to deal with.
I have more questions, but I know.
I know. So thank you. All right. Okay, let's move on. Next issue, budget and capital projects.
So I mentioned that we're starting preliminary work on the budget just to get an idea of where we are with most of our town budgets. Obviously, the big question marks is going to be health insurance, the regional school system, and Norris school system.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, the town municipal side of the budgets are going to be relatively the same as the previous year. The one big introduction I do want to start working on probably for December is unveiling the capital plan that we've been working on. It's going to be a little bit unique than what we've done in the past couple of years, but I'd like to kind of get a joint meeting between, the police, fire, highway, school department, the capital committee, the select board, and the FinCom to kind of do a quick presentation on where we are with everything. I think ultimately we're going to have to look at some consistent funding sources for our capital needs. And trust me, there's a lot of them. I've been looking at the archives and some of our previous capital plans. There's still the same equipment from 10 years ago that we need even today.
That we haven't replaced?
We haven't replaced. So we are talking in the millions of dollars, but we also have to look at some, potentially alternative funding sources. I mean, Norris School alone is in the millions of dollars. We might have to start looking at, the MSBA, school building and looking how we look at the entire facility of Norris rather than, $80,000 on painting and $100,000 on carpet and then sidewalks and windows and piecemealing, when we can get, the state to provide, 30, 40, 50, 60% of, the reimbursement
But
for
that would be a grant kind of thing from MSBA.
Through the MSBA, exactly.
Yeah.
They have a expedited program for renovations. I don't know much about it, but I think it's time that we start maybe exploring that and looking at the entire facility, for example, because just vehicles alone, we're in several millions of dollars just for highway, for example. So I do have a basic plan. I'm working with Megan on that to just look at some borrowing, but ultimately we need a consistent source because right now we either fund our capital projects through debt exclusions, and the other way that we fund it is just through our annual free cash with the 35%. And as we know, over the last 5 to 10 years, our free cash has been like this. It's been inconsistent. We get it late in the year, so we're not able to really plan around it. And it prohibits us from making any of those bigger purchases like an ambulance, like a fire truck or a dump truck or things like that. So ultimately, I think doing a plan where we can show in the budget year after year and actually borrow against a number would be the best bet.
I agree with you in terms of certain things. For example, I do think of Norris with piecemeal kinds of things. I mean, I think that is true when you look at, replacing the lockers or whatever, or carpet, or, just there's the small things that we've been able to handle because we haven't had the money for the big things, right? So that's been part of our challenge with all of the departments. But
I mean, we're talking like $500,000 for HVAC, generators. The big ticket items just haven't been addressed.
Okay. So you're putting something together now with the department heads, and you'll have it.
Yeah, but I think it's important to get all the stakeholders together and unveil it just to get everyone's input. I've been talking to everyone individually,
right?
But I think everyone kind of needs to agree because there's going to be some things that are deferred, some things that are just not going to be funded, some things that can be moved into our operating funds that really shouldn't be capital, and there's other areas that we need to look at alternative funding for that's going to take everyone to kind of go
And
after.
most of the capital's got to be at least a $5,000 value, right? And over, I forget, is it five-year lifetime?
Well, I mean, for example, like the school department put in a capital request for $30,000 in laptops. But that's really something that should be into their operating, every year to replace a certain amount. It's not really a capital project because it's all these little pieces.
Yeah.
So that's really more like an operating than a capital expense.
Got it, okay. So when do you think we might try this kind of a meeting? Is it before the end of the year as we're, yeah?
Hopefully,
Yeah.
right before, budget season kicks off. I'd like to get everyone together, at least have some preliminary talks and some ideas.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. I mean, I know you were trying to put together a new kind of book, per se, with photos of the various equipment and descriptions so that people knew what we have currently and how old it is and when it might be scheduled for replacement, so.
Yep, we've got that.
That's a good start.
We just have to figure out how to fund it now.
Well, yeah. Well, and that's where, again, I mean, I know that, there's a possibility of debt exclusions here and there, but there's, it's rare that we're going to find grant money necessarily for some of those big ticket items, but some of the smaller ones, those are where some grant money could possibly fill in the gap too. So that's why I think, looking for grant money is always important. So we'll keep an eye out for things like that, but. Okay, any comments on that? If not, we'll move on. Next agenda item.
Yes.
Land use planning.
Enterprise
Oh, I'm sorry.
funds, please include.
Sorry.
I'm a water commissioner,
Yeah,
and although the water department is
enterprise.
enterprise fund, it's not independent entirely of the town. We're looking at the same people paying the bills, and I'd like to see the capital schedule include their existing and planned debt. The commissioners are working on a 10-year capital plan right now, so
Good.
it's very timely.
Right, because I know they were going to be replacing the water main right from Clark Street up to East Street and then East Street up to Pomeroy Meadow. That's what they intend to do. And they did get some state money for that at one point in time. So the part of this that has already been funded, already done, was some state money. And then some ARPA money as
they got
well.
billed for an extra $60,000. We just are going to take care of that at special.
That was a different project, but yeah. But then we filled in with the ARPA money, which isn't there anymore. So they had gotten some money from the asset management grant or something they had that helped do some of that
You're right,
funding.
there are two more very expensive stages.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Before we do anything with water storage.
Yeah, no, exactly, yeah.
Huge.
No. So Clark to East and then East to Pomeroy, yeah, right.
Oh, and just speaking of capital, I just forgot to mention, we're having a kickoff meeting for the highway department heating system next week.
Oh,
So that,
You're going to kick it?
kickoff meeting.
Is that how it
Yeah.
starts?
so,
I mean, we might have to kick it to keep it working.
so this is for the winning bidder, is that what you're saying?
That's right. So they're going to be coming in and coordinating with Randall next week.
Okay.
So we're going to have a meeting with that, so.
Okay.
I forgot to mention that earlier.
Okay. And this is for the new heating system at the highway department, okay, good. And what is that again? Is it a boiler, is it what is it?
Replacing the current system.
Okay.
So it's the old-fashioned type, it's not going to be, mini splits or anything like that, so.
Okay, all right. Okay, let's move on. Land use planning update.
I did reach out to Dotson and Flinker and PVPC just to see if we can start narrowing down a date for the formal presentation of their results. So hopefully I can hear back from them relatively soon.
So they are pretty much at the conclusion of their work now, we think?
For the vision part of it, the next phase, we did apply for some grants, or at least start the application process, but there's a much more technical part of it where, once the select board kind of adopts their vision, there's going to have to be a lot of, the actual land division and
Right.
Looking at the different measurements and actually splitting things out and how can we fit in the commercial property with the public safety building and actually having someone go out there and survey the land into a much more technical. So, it's a much broader view what they're doing, but now we're at the point where in the next year or two, we're going to have to start getting into the technical phase.
Right, okay. Because they've been looking at the use for the entire parcel, I mean, everything that we've been talking about, so.
Right.
Not only the structures, but we had talked about commercial property along the Route 10, which, that still is part of a plan, it's just a matter of how much and where, and all of that, to my knowledge, was never surveyed out, right, yet? We haven't done that yet, right?
Right.
It hasn't been surveyed out.
Well, it all depends on what the vision
Right.
will be, so.
Right, okay.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
I think it's a critically important piece that's very poorly understood by the public. And I don't want to belabor it, but I invite people to go online, fire up the assessor's GIS database, very easy to use online. The town has acquired 3 parcels. The big one that has frontage on Route 10. A smallish parcel at the end of Lynn Drive of about 3 acres, and an indeterminate sized parcel between the Greenway and the Manhan River. The big parcel fronting on Route 10 and the actual frontage on the state highway is where that commercial thing, that fervent expectation that can't we fund the whole project by selling some commercial lots, it never did exist. It does not exist. It is for us to plan and decide how that lands.
Well, just to clarify, it's zoned commercially, though.
If you look at the zoning, it is not a traditional zoning boundary that ends at a parcel line. The commercial village district ends with a dotted line that is some dimension back from the center line of Route 10. It's a fuzzy, poorly written zoning bylaw at best. So as we get more tangible understanding of what we as a town would like to see happen there and how the pieces interrelate, we will have to adjust the zoning. Yes, there's a commitment to exploring some commercial development. There is a firm commitment to exploring commercial development. We need help doing a needs analysis, a business, a market plan. You know, we can say what we'd like to frequent, but we have not a clue who might be a prospective buyer and how small a box we could put them in. Oh, we don't want a 10-story building. We don't want 10,000 square feet.
But I think part of what will happen through the land use planning, right, is allocating where that will be on that parcel and roughly how much it will be, even if it's not.
And if you want to talk similar sizes, we're looking at something like 4, 5, 6 acres, maybe a bit more. It's hard to say. But there's a commitment to doing that while the status quo ante today is there's a very fuzzy zoning notion on the frontage. There are no commercial lots because it's 6 acres out of 45. It's a very poor construct to split a parcel that way. End of lecture.
I think the parcel across the street is also commercial and residential, if I'm not mistaken.
I can't speak to
I think
that.
so. But anyway, so it's a challenge, but I think we'll know that more once we hear the land use planner's report and presentation, right? And then a step would be to figure out how we go about surveying out certain areas for all these delineated uses on the land, right?
I can say I'm pretty excited about it. I think Dodson and Flinker did a really great job with PVPC on it. That met, most of the needs of the community. You're not going to have a perfect design.
Sure.
Because you have people that want the huge 300 units, and you have people that want to keep it with no development. So you got to find somewhere in between. But I think once people actually see the visual concept of it, I think people will be pretty excited.
And so what is you said you don't have a specific date yet, but are we looking, again, December? What are we talking about?
Yeah, I would like to get it by the first of the year.
Yeah.
We'll probably do it, maybe non-traditional, maybe do it online and make it easier for people to log in and ask questions rather than, we have the Norris School, but I think it's more like a presentation type of thing where we kind of unveil it.
So they'll get back to us in terms of when they're ready to do that. Okay. All right, well, let's hope we can get it done before the end of the year. I think that everybody's been kind of waiting to hear what the theory is now that we've participated in a couple public meetings and moved little buildings around on maps and tried to talk about what people's priorities were. So
I think Stephen would probably agree that a good public design takes time.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's not, yeah, it's a big step. I don't think we want to rush it by any means, but I think,
Well-
the level of patience, I think people are just curious to know where it is, so I think that's
And we're
logical.
doing a lot of self-help, the inexpensive and free things, like we petitioned MDOT to do a traffic count
Right.
in front of the property
Yep.
for a week. So we have a baseline. We don't need it today or tomorrow, but we'll need it as we think about adding trip ends on that highway. We have planned for going out and doing some more soil analysis. In fact, we have a date to do that, so that we will have more specific understanding. We do from all kinds of published studies, and one hole dug on the property. We're going to go out and dig as many as we can dig in a day and verify that the soils are as capable as we think they are. So we're building the database, we're doing the self-help, and we'll fill it out as we go.
Good, okay. All right. All right, next agenda item, the ADA evaluation. Yeah, do we, we've got that report. I know you shared it around. I have not had a chance to go through it in detail myself.
So if it's okay with the select board, I could have the company come in on the 10th of December to do a presentation on it, both virtual and in person. I know one person is in Worcester and one person is in Western Mass, so we could do kind of like a hybrid meeting, and they would be willing to go through everything, answer any questions, and kind of unveil it to the public.
That'd be good. And they, just to remind people, they did that ADA evaluation on all of our main town buildings, so it includes not only here, but everywhere.
And some of the parkland and some of the outdoor stuff.
Too, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think that'd be good. So the 10th, maybe? Yeah, okay, let's put that on the agenda then. Sounds good. All right. All right, next one, I guess I'll take 250th anniversary, just very briefly. Had a great evening yesterday. We did our sweater weather musical bingo. So thanks to Tin Can Alley for hosting, and for both Puza's Pure Food and Westlake Gourmet for donations of food. It had a large, I think we were filled to capacity at Tin Can Alley, so we had a good 60, 65 people probably, and had a good couple hours of fun. And so yeah, it was a good event for the 250th. And our next one will be on the 23rd, which is again a Sunday, and it's going to be over at the Congregational Church. It'll be basically a service of gratitude, but focusing a bit on the history of the town and the church, the relationship of the town and the church, in terms of how the settlements had to get started here in Massachusetts. And it's also the 10th anniversary of the community cupboard. So we'll be celebrating that and asking people to bring a donation of some item, non-perishable item for the cupboard as well. And then we've got a couple of events that are in the works for December, and so we'll get those out as soon as we get more detail on them. But there will be a yard/porch holiday decorating contest beginning right after, I'm going to say right after Thanksgiving, and go until pretty much toward the end of, right before Christmas. And then we'll have a few judges and so forth that will go out and judge the various lighting displays, shall we say, and we'll have a couple prizes in that regard. Lucy Dalton is kind of heading that up, and we'll have a flyer out on that very soon with a way you can register to be part of that. So we'd like people to sign up who want to be part of that. So we'll make that a little bit more detailed and known in the coming days or two. All right, any other business? I can't wait for the next meeting, which is going to be on the 25th. So we're a day off early today because of the holiday tomorrow. So we will meet again on Tuesday, November 25th. Anything that?
I think we should be able to have the tax classification hearing on that date.
Okay.
I think they will be all set for
On the
that.
25th? Okay, good. That would be good. Yep. Good. All right. Okay, so then we do have a couple of PCFs tonight. For the Highway Department, Stephen, you want
I
to take one?
move that we approve PCF for Stephen
Yep. Stephen, go ahead.
I move that we approve PCF for Stephen Reniak.
Rezniak.
Okay. A resignation effective November 21st, 2025.
Okay.
Second that?
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
And for the fire department, PCF for Julie Badaker. Bad Decker, a new hire, a paramedic as needed, non-benefited, $25.96 per hour.
You want to say anything? I'll have a second. Ellen? Okay, yep. Chief, why don't you fill us in a little bit?
This is a paramedic. She's also a paramedic instructor over in Chicopee. She recently moved to town, so that's a plus. She sent a cover letter for the full-time position. So she's interested in that, but she wants to start out, we both agreed as a per diem, just to make sure it's a fit for both of us.
Cool.
And I believe it will be, but, so, she's gonna be hired per diem and see how it goes.
And she'll fill the open shifts that you've got?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right.
So she's employed elsewhere now?
She currently works for Hilltown Ambulance. She was a supervisor for National Ambulance in Springfield. And again, she's an instructor at it's called the EMT Academy in Chicopee.
Great. So that's the day job.
So she's very knowledgeable in paramedic service.
Okay, so she'd come on as you need her to fill in on a shift, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good, all right. Yeah,
Aye.
was that a motion?
You have a motion and a second already.
Okay, there we did, yes, we did. All right, all those in favor, yes, okay.
Aye.
Aye, all right, good, yes, thanks, chief, all right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Glad you've got a good,
Approval of the minutes of October 14th,
glad we have a good
2025.
candidate there. Okay, minutes of
Very well
October
qualified,
14th. I hear a motion from Stephen. Did you see any errors, anybody? Ellen, did you second that? Sorry,
I'll second that.
yeah. Anybody find anything that needed to be corrected? I did not myself.
Relying on you.
My eyes are giving up. Yeah, no, I didn't see anything that needed correction on that.
Keeps us legal.
Okay, so with that, let's have a vote on approving the minutes of October 14th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. Minutes are approved. Thank you. Anything under old business? How are we doing on the 24 audit in particular, Scott? I think that's probably our biggest question.
So I did include the latest spreadsheet.
It's a spreadsheet.
Yeah, it was a little tiny to read. We
Hundred
Yeah, I don't know.
lines long.
Even a big magnifying glass didn't really help that one. Yeah,
Not sure, yeah, it's generated by the software.
The
that
financial
they
system,
use.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
not the
figured it was.
best, but it gives you just an idea of what we're working on. A lot of it, especially with the treasurers, just closing out the last fiscal year as well and rectifying those books. So Megan's working on that part. Bradley's got a few things. The assessors is mostly done as well, but obviously the biggest thing is just getting that together. And we're about maybe 40-ish, 40 to 50% of the way there. So once we get all the information and dig everything out and get it to the CBIZ, they'll be able to finish that up. So maybe a couple more months. And then we can start working on 25. But we are slowly making progress.
Wow. And how does this has nothing to do with getting our free cash submitted in December like Bradley was talking about, or does it?
Right, so that's a separate thing.
Okay,
So Bradley's still on track for that.
he's on track, so that should help, so we could have our certified cash long before town meeting next year.
That's the hope. There won't be much of it because we have a lot of obligations,
Well, that I
but
understand, but at least getting it on a schedule and getting it on track is a major improvement. So a lot of since this is really hard to read, what are the kinds of general things that that Megan is having to deal with? I mean, offhand, there you go. It is able to be bigger, okay.
so a lot of it is, just literally just Excel sheets from the general ledger. Ambulance receipts, a lot of different things.
And maybe half or more of them say fulfilled. Well, fewer now, but
Yeah. So, yeah. And so all this is just, these are not responding to questions that CBIZ has already asked. This is the core of what has to go in for them to start doing some of the
Just
work?
providing the information, yeah. Yeah, a lot of it like where's the assessor section? This column is everything that's been uploaded so far, so there's quite a bit. So Dave was able to get all the tax recap for '24, all the abatements, things like that for the assessor's office.
Okay. Wow. So you think another couple months to get through this, really? Wow. Okay. Is there any other, I don't know, any other assistance, any other help that anybody can be to?
No, it's really Megan just sorting everything out over the last couple of years and making sure everything, the information that they need gets to them. One of the main issues, especially in the transition, is going from the SoftWrite to the Vadar as well. So it's going from that. So they're going between two different systems. I think once we get past that, it's going to be a lot easier in the future because we'll be 100% on Vadar.
And Megan is still coming in basically twice a week or maybe 3 times, depending?
Yeah, she's still around 19 hours.
19 hours, okay. Yeah, so that makes a difference too, to not have a full-time treasurer collector. But we are very grateful to have her here to help us get through this craziness. So hopefully she will.
This is a big question for the spring.
Yeah, no, I know. Keep plugging on here. Okay.
So
Good.
we're in a transitional phase with that position.
Right, exactly. Okay. All right. Any other questions on that? Yeah, Stephen?
I was wondering about that very issue. I'm sure there must be a list of to-dos and time deadlines that you're watching for.
For the transition of position?
Yeah.
Yeah, so by Mass General Law, it has to be done at the annual town election, and then at the annual town meeting. So that's going to be the first step. If we could have done it earlier, we certainly could have done a special town meeting, but it would have required a special act of the legislature to do it, which probably would have been more than the 9 months annual town meeting to get done. So the quickest way to get that done is through the annual town meeting.
Okay. All right.
Unfortunately.
Well,
All right. Well, hopefully Megan will hang in there and keep on plugging away here so we can get this information into so that the audit can get underway here. All right. More fully, I'm assuming that CBIZ is able to look at certain things already from what's been submitted, but they're obviously missing a good chunk of it.
So I got a lot of the emails, especially over the weekend. Well, once we submit everything, they do send a verification that they've reviewed it and looked at it.
Okay, good. Okay.
But it's just pieces of the puzzle until they get everything. There's
Right.
only a
So
limited
they're
amount.
not waiting for everything to come in and then say, okay, now we're going to start on Southampton. I mean, they're able to look at stuff as it comes in. Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's helpful at least. Okay. All right, just last, anything else under old business? It's just something we put on there kind of as a tickler to remind ourselves on the prudent investor rule and trust fund commissioners. We've got to get that all written up and started as well, recruiting for trust fund commissioners for the prudent investor rule plan that we have approved. So that's a whole work thing to do. I don't know if we got any news on it yet because we haven't really put it in practice yet. We've got work to do to write it up and get that underway. That was approved at town meeting to go with a prudent investor rule that would allow our investment company to take our investment funds, not our general fund, but our investment fund, and invest it in other than a list of about 25 things that they are allowed to do right now. So this would expand the opportunities for them to invest and hopefully earn a little bit more on the funds for the town. So we've got to get that written up for what it would take to make all that happen. All right, anything on East Street? I don't think I've heard anything about any new news on the expansion on East Street or the renovation.
No.
Yeah.
And just the Greenway, I think we're aiming for a 25% design target come July, so.
Okay, all right, so even though 25% sounds like little, it's a huge milestone with DOT. Yeah.
It's a lot, yeah.
Huge, yeah, okay. Yep. All right, good. And we've got a couple other things. We'll keep bringing them up and adding them to our list of things to do. And we have a kind of a tickling to-do list that we try to keep track of too. Okay, so I think that's it. Our next select board meetings are November 25th, and it says December 9th, which is our town meeting, and then a special town meeting, and then the 23rd. So I guess back on the ADA evaluation person coming in, Scott, that wouldn't be the 9th probably, before town meeting. Or is that after town meeting? I'm sorry.
After town meeting.
That's after town meeting. I'm sorry.
Let me just
Sorry,
double
special
check the
town meeting is
calendar.
December 6th. Okay, and we would have a town meeting, I'm sorry, gosh, a select board meeting on the 9th. Okay, I was wrong. My mistake. I'm looking at the wrong
Oh,
calendar.
I'm sorry, yeah, the 9th, I meant
The
not
9th,
10th,
okay,
yeah.
so it'd be the 9th that the ADA evaluation person could possibly come in. And then on the 25th of November, then we'll have Dave come in the, on the tax classification hearing. Okay. All right, that makes sense. All right, I think that's it, guys. If there's nothing else, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
I second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned at about 7:55, I think it is, thereabouts. All right, thanks, everybody. Thanks.